Today, we are diving into a really powerful idea from ancient wisdom. It's the idea that your temperament, your emotional default setting, isn't just a part of your personality. It's kind of like the invisible force that shapes everything: your health, your success, your entire destiny.
To really get this, let's kick things off with a story. And a question for you. If a single piece of advice could save you from making the worst mistake of your life, what would you pay for it?
So our story starts with this guy who, get this, stumbles upon a pot of gold. He's rich overnight. But even with all that money, he feels like something crucial is missing. He knows he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. So he goes on this pretty unusual quest. He decides he's going to literally buy wisdom.
He eventually finds a wise old monk who says, "Sure, I can sell you some wisdom." But it comes with a price tag, a huge one, 1,000 silver pieces, for just one sentence. And you know what? The man agrees. He's willing to pay anything.
And this is the priceless advice he gets. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. It sounds more like dance instructions than some profound secret of the universe, right? The man is confused, probably feeling like he just got scammed, but he decides to take the monk's words seriously.
That very same night, his new wisdom is put to the test in the most intense way possible. He comes home late and sees his wife in bed with another person. A wave of pure, blinding rage just washes over him. He grabs a knife, ready to do the unthinkable, but in that split second, he remembers the monk's words.
He forces himself to do the strange ritual: 3 steps forward, 3 steps back, over and over. The movement, the time, the focus is just enough to break the spell of his anger. The noise wakes up the other person who says, "Son, is that you?" It's his mother. In that one moment, he got it. The 1,000 silver pieces didn't buy a magic spell. They bought him a pause button, a moment of clarity that saved him from total disaster.
And that story right there just perfectly sets up our whole idea today. It wasn't the situation that was the real danger. It was his reaction to it. It was his temperament. And learning to get a handle on that is the real secret to controlling your fate.
So at the core of this way of thinking, you've got these two big forces that are kind of at odds with each other: Thinghi and Fukhi. Just think of Thinghi as your temperament, your raw emotions, especially that fiery anger. And Fukhi is everything good: your fortune, your blessings, your luck. Now here's the part that's so critical to understand. The relationship between these two is like a seesaw. It's an inverse relationship. When your temperament, your anger, spikes up, your fortune literally gets pushed down. But when you can keep your temperament calm and steady, you create space for your fortune to rise. They can't both be up at the same time.
And believe me, the cost of a bad temper isn't just some philosophical concept. History is absolutely littered with stories of smart, powerful people whose lives were just wrecked, not by their enemies, but by their own out-of-control anger.
I mean, just look at King Chu Trang Kung. A king! This guy apparently flew into a volcanic rage over a simple water stain on the floor. A servant lied about who did it, and the king's anger spiraled so badly that he physically stumbled, fell into a stove, got a nasty burn, which then got infected and killed him. A king taken down by a puddle. It's unbelievable.
This next one is a perfect side-by-side comparison of how temperament can totally define a career. You have these two officials from the Tang dynasty. On one hand, you've got Huang Fu Tuk. Brilliant guy, no doubt, but so hot-headed he'd literally bite his own son's hand over a writing mistake. He ended up dying broken, forgotten. On the other hand, you've got Bui Do, who is famous for being calm and humble. He survived all the political drama, rose to the very top, and was respected for generations. Same time period, different tempers, completely opposite fates.
Okay, so we've seen the danger, but here's the big question. Can you actually change your temperament? Or are you just stuck with what you've got? Well, let's look at the incredible story of one of China's most famous historical figures, Zeng Guofan. This guy wasn't born a saint, not at all. As a young man, he was arrogant, fiery, and managed to tick off pretty much everyone, which got him kicked out of the capital. But during that time away, he did some serious soul-searching. He had this aha moment where he realized his own anger was his biggest enemy. So he started working on himself consciously every single day. And when he came back, he was a different person, humble, patient, a great listener. And that new temperament is what allowed him to become this incredibly successful and effective leader.
Which brings us to this profound piece of wisdom. True strength isn't about overpowering other people or conquering cities. The real power, the ultimate victory, is conquering yourself, mastering your own emotional reactions.
Now, this isn't just about ancient history. This principle creates a massive ripple effect that touches every single part of our lives today, our families, our homes, and yet, even our physical health. Let's just trace how this destructive chain reaction usually works. It all starts at the office. A guy gets chewed out by his boss. He bottles it up, right? But that anger is still there, just simmering under the surface.
He gets home, and that pent-up frustration needs somewhere to go, so he unloads it on the first person he sees, his kid, who's just playing, not bothering anyone. The anger gets passed down the line.
Now, the child is upset and confused, so they act out and kick the cat. The startled cat darts out into the street, causing a driver to swerve and crash their car. You see the chain? One person's uncontrolled temper at work ends up causing a cascade of real-world harm.
And the damage isn't just external. This is where modern medicine is catching up to ancient wisdom. Your body is literally keeping score. We now know that chronic anger is directly linked to high blood pressure. Anxiety can tear up your gut and cause things like IBS. All that repressed rage can manifest as real physical pain. Our emotions aren't just in our heads, they're written into our bodies.
So, if controlling our temper is this important, how in the world do we actually do it? Let's wrap this up with one final story that gives us a beautifully simple and really powerful tool: perspective. So there was this man who had a very particular habit. Whenever he felt that rush of anger coming on, maybe in an argument with a neighbor, he wouldn't engage. He would just turn around, go outside, and run 3 full laps around his property.
And what's so fascinating is how his internal monologue changed over his lifetime. See, when he was young and poor and his land was just a tiny plot, he'd run and think, this property is so small, I don't have time to waste being angry. I need to get back to work. His anger turned into motivation. Then, when he was old and successful with a huge estate, he'd run his laps and think, look at all this land. Why on earth would I let some petty squabble bother me? His anger just dissolved into peace.
You see what happened? In both cases, the act of creating physical space and shifting his perspective completely diffused the anger. It shows that our temperament isn't some fixed thing we're stuck with. It's raw material, it's energy. And the ultimate question isn't whether you have it or not, but what you choose to build with it.